This past season has been bittersweet for 2311 Racing. While one of their drivers, Reddick, has been performing well, the other driver, Bubba Wallace, has not been able to keep up. There's been a lot of speculations as to what 2311 might do. But now the team has made their decision, and it might not be the right one. They've put themselves in a very compromising position with this driver lineup for the future. On the 18th of September, 2311 announced that Bubba Wallace signed a contract extension to remain with 2311 on a multi-year deal. The team released the following statement along with the announcement. From day one, Bubba has been an integral part of 2311. We are excited to announce that he has signed a multi-year renewal and will continue to play a key role in helping 2311 grow and succeed. This year, 2311 Racing is definitely one of the top teams in NASCAR. Reddick won the regular season championship and is one of the favorites to win the Cup Series championship as well. But Bubba Wallace, on the other hand, has not been impressive at all. He wasn't even able to qualify for the playoffs this season. This brought on a lot of criticism from the fans. But despite these criticisms, 2311 Racing thinks continuing its journey with Bubba Wallace is the right move. Wallace has been a part of the 2311 Racing team since its inception in 2021. He's played an integral part in the team's development over the years. To be fair, he has shown some good pace in the last few races. Although the first half of the season did not go well for Wallace, he started performing well after the All-Star break. And we'll deliver the best NASCAR content for our diehard fans. So hit that subscribe button and join a community of some of the best NASCAR fans in the world. Hamlin was actually impressed with how Wallace was performing in the second half. The number 23 crew's playoff chances were alive until the very last race of the season in Darlington. Wallace actually had a good chance to get into the playoffs, but missed the opportunity after a crash that was not his fault at all. After the race, Wallace said, "We just got behind on adjustments," lamented Wallace. "We were back and forth on our Toyota Camry. Just a little too loose, a little too tight. And that caution with a couple laps on tires where we stayed out. I don't know if that was the deciding factor, but we just got so tight there, and got back there in traffic and in a spot we hadn't been all day, and got caught up in someone else's mess. It's unfortunate. I hate it for our guys. Hats off to the four. I thought I did something yesterday. They one-upped us and showed up when it was game time, so that's pretty badass, so congrats to them. Man, just wasn't good enough for 16th this year. I hate that. It stinks saying that, but it wasn't for a lack of effort from all of us on the 23 car. Best of luck to the 45, Reddick, and hopefully a Toyota wins." Although Wallace was performing well in the last few races of the regular season, it doesn't mean anything unless you qualify for the playoffs. This probably cost the team a couple million from sponsors and NASCAR as well. Ever since Wallace joined 2311 Racing, he has only been able to qualify for the playoffs once, which was last year. Hence, the team was hoping that he could do the same this year as well, since they had one of the best cars on the grid. But he didn't deliver. 2311 is at a point where they want to expand their operations and start giving Joe Gibbs Racing and Reddick Motorsports a challenge on a more consistent basis. The team is currently owned by Joe Gibbs Racing driver Denny Hamlin and NBA legend Michael Jordan. Thanks to Hamlin's strong bond with JGR, he was able to develop a partnership between the two teams, so 2311 Racing could sit in during the debrief talks to gather data. This helps the team develop their car in the long run and find the right setup for each race weekend. Despite all the resources the team are using to develop the car and the team, Wallace failed to qualify for the playoffs, and 2311 Racing has rewarded him for it. Given that Wallace just signed a multi-year contract with the team, he will be their driver until the 2026 season at least. But nothing in NASCAR is for certain. If Wallace once again fails to perform next year, there is a chance that 2311 Racing will want to start looking at other options for a replacement. In NASCAR, performance is everything. If you don't perform, you'll start costing the team more money, which could be used to develop the car. So the pressure will once again be on Wallace to perform. But at the moment, 2311 Racing has bigger problems at hand. Just a couple of weeks back, the team refused to sign a new charter agreement. With the current charter agreement expiring after the current season, the team may not be a part of the NASCAR grid next year. NASCAR basically gave them the new charter agreement at 6 p.m. on September 6th and expected the teams to sign it by midnight. While most of the teams signed the contract before the deadline, 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsport refused to do so. In a statement, 2311 Racing said, 2311 decided to not meet a NASCAR-imposed deadline last night to sign charter agreements for its two cars for 2025 to 2031. 2311's position, as stated in a letter to NASCAR, is that we did not have an opportunity to fairly bargain for a new charter contract. We notified NASCAR what issues needed to be addressed in writing at the deadline. We are interested in engaging in constructive discussions with NASCAR to address these issues and move forward in a way that comes to a fair resolution, while strengthening the sport we all love. At 2311 Racing, we remain committed to competing at the highest level while also standing firm in our belief that NASCAR should be governed by fair and equitable practices. As long as 2311 Racing does not sign the new charter agreement, they will not be part of the NASCAR grid next year. This puts every driver and employee of 2311 Racing in jeopardy. Bubba Wallace gave his thoughts on his team not signing the contract. "I know my process has been kind of going hand in hand with the charter agreements," Bubba Wallace explained at the Quaker State 400. "So it's frustrating to see where we're at because that impacts my life, my livelihood, and everything moving forward for my future." While only Bubba Wallace has voiced his concerns over his team not signing the deal, there will be several more employees in 2311 Racing who will not be happy with how the team has been handling these negotiations. There's now a question mark on the futures of all employees in 2311 Racing. Will the team continue next year? This is a question that the owners will have to own up to and answer. So despite signing a contract extension with the team, it'll mean nothing for Bubba Wallace unless 2311 Racing signs the charter agreement. Naturally, 2311 intends to be on the NASCAR grid next year. They just need to get in a room with the NASCAR officials and come to an agreement. But this is more difficult than it sounds. The negotiations for a new charter agreement have been ongoing for years now, and they still are yet to reach an agreement. Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick will be getting more and more anxious about their future as the 2024 season nears an end. But now, the only thing they can do is focus on the races ahead. With the completion of the regular season, 2311's priority will be to help Tyler Reddick win the Cup Series championship. So Bubba Wallace must now do everything possible to help his teammate get a good result in each race. With just one more round to go in the round of 16, it looks as though Tyler Reddick will safely advance into the next round. But that's when he will start to face competition and will require the help of his teammate. In order to help Reddick, Wallace will also have to start qualifying at strong positions, so both 2311 cars can dominate with Reddick at the front and Wallace protecting his teammate from the other challengers. But considering that Wallace has not won a race yet, it could prove to be difficult for him. Wallace will need to make some improvements in his performance if he wants to impress the team and his fans. Otherwise, 2311 has just made a huge mistake by signing Bubba Wallace on a multi-year deal. If 2311 decides to expand and bring in another charter, there will be more pressure on Wallace as he could have two of his teammates finishing ahead of him. This will just increase the spotlight on his bad performances. Do you think 2311 Racing made the right decision by extending Bubba Wallace's contract for the 2025 season and beyond? Post your thoughts in the comment section below.